deaths, many injured as terrorists ambushed Nigerian troops on mission to rescue Kebbi schoolgirls, and Kwara youths block highway in protest over church attack. Details now. Thank you for staying tuned. The world news at 6 begins with the United States ambassador to the United Nations, Michael Waltz, and American musician Nicki Minaj on Tuesday evening highlighting Nigeria's ongoing security challenges during a UN event focused on global religious freedom. The event was titled Combating Religious Violence and the Killing of Christians in Nigeria. Both Waltz and Nicki Minaj drew attention to attacks targeting Christian communities and linked them to broader concerns about religious liberty. In his remarks, Waltz described the killings in Nigeria as a genocide wearing the mask of chaos. He referenced international reporting on religious violence, noting that Nigeria accounts for a significant share of global attacks on Christians. A non-governmental organization, Open Doors, he said, reports 80% of the violence against Christians worldwide occurring in Nigeria. The ambassador commended President Donald Trump's recent condemnation of the killings in the country. The event comes after Trump said there was an ongoing Christian genocide in Nigeria and announced that the country would be designated a country of particular concern. The federal government has strongly denied allegations of religiously motivated violence, maintaining that the insecurity in the country stems from criminal activities unrelated to faith. Despite Nigeria's position, U.S. officials have continued to voice concerns. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has postponed his scheduled trips to Johannesburg in South Africa and Luanda, Angola. He also awaits further security briefings on the kidnapped Kebbi schoolgirls and the attack on Christ Apostolic Church worshippers in Eruku, Kwara State. A statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga, today revealed that in response to the request by the government of Kwara State, President Tinubu has ordered the deployment of more security men to Eruku and the entire Ekiti local government area of the state. He also directed the police to go after the bandits who attacked worshippers. The president had been scheduled to leave Abuja today to attend the 20th G20 Summit of Leaders in South Africa and thereafter proceed to Luanda to attend the 7th AU-EU Summit. However, according to Ononuga, the president will now await reports from Vice President Kashim Shettima, who has been directed by the president to visit Kebbi on his behalf. President Tinubu will also await reports from the police and the Department of State Services DSS regarding the attack in Kwara State. Meanwhile, youths in Eruku, Ekiti local government area of Kwara State today barricaded the Ilorin-Kaba highway in protest over Tuesday night's deadly bandit attack on the community, accusing security agencies of abandoning residents during the assault. The demonstration, which began early in the day, caused a major gridlock along the busy road. Dozens of trailers and commercial vehicles heading towards Kogi State were stranded as protesters lit bonfires and used stones and logs to block the expressway. Residents said the attack, which occurred during a church program, lasted almost an hour without response from security operatives stationed in the area. One of the protesters lamented what he described as a complete security failure. Another youth leader in town accused the police of complicity, insisting that officers failed to respond despite the community's investment in their welfare. A member of the local vigilante group, who spoke on condition of anonymity, also raised suspicions of foul play. The Commissioner of Police, CP Adekimi Ojo, who visited Eruku today alongside the Kwara State Director of the Department of State Services, appealed for calm and promised a decisive response. The CP said additional personnel will be deployed to reinforce the Eruku division. He also announced plans to station an armored personnel carrier, APC, in the community. Meanwhile, several soldiers sustained injuries after terrorists launched an ambush on troops heading to rescue kidnapped schoolgirls in Kebbi State. The attack occurred just 24 hours after the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Waidi Shaibu, directed troops of Operation Fansanyama to go all out against the bandits responsible for abducting students of Government Girls Secondary School, Maga, Kebbi State. Troops were ordered to maintain 24-hour operations until all abducted abducted students are safely rescued and reunited with their families. In compliance, the soldiers mobilized for the rescue mission but were ambushed by terrorists. Video footage showed several soldiers lying helplessly without immediate medical attention. The troops' operational vehicles were also riddled with bullet holes during the attack. You're still listening to the World News at 6 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has rejected a letter submitted by the Samuel Anyang faction of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, declaring that the correspondence failed to meet the requirements of the law. According to the nation, the letter, jointly signed by Abdul Rahman Mohammed and Senator Samuel Anyang, has sought the postponement of the Ekiti governorship primary scheduled for November 8, 2025. The faction claimed that logistical reasons made it impossible to conduct the exercise as planned. In the letter dated November 6, 2025, titled Postponement of PDP Ekiti State Congress and Governorship Primary, the faction told the commission that a new date would be communicated. Despite the request, the PDP went ahead with the primaries on November 8, with Dr. Wale Oluyede emerging winner after polling 279 votes to defeat Funsho Agent with 239 votes and Fimilaya Ogun with 17 votes. In its response, an address to the PDP National Secretary under reference, INEC declared the request invalid. The letter signed by the Commission Secretary, Mrs. Rose Oriana Anthony, stated that the notice did not comply with the 2022 regulations and guidelines for political parties. I'm now being joined by Ikechukwu Ago for the banter session on the World News at 6 this evening. Ikechukwu, thank you so much for joining me. I do appreciate your presence.
Good evening, Choma.
Good evening to you. Thank you for joining me.
You're looking
it's not a funny situation.
Like you're beaten by.
It's not like I'm looking like rain has beaten me. The rain of insecurity is falling in so many different communities in Nigeria right now, and many Nigerians really feel like the government does not care. The latest right now is that the troops who were on their way to find out where the girls who were abducted from Kebbi State were taken to were ambushed. And Nigerians keep asking, is this a failure of intelligence? Is there someone that is feeding these insurgents with information on how our troops are moving? Because if you recall, when Brigadier General M. Oba was killed, when the report broke out on Monday, he was in communication with his people via WhatsApp. And what we were told was that the insurgent intercepted his location, and so they accosted him before our security agents, before the military could get to him, and unfortunately they murdered him. Would you say that this is an offshoot, or would you say that this is as a result of having these repentant terrorists being a part of the Nigerian military? Because you see military men coming out to say that we are not comfortable fighting alongside these people. This ideology is not just something that disappears just like that. Since yesterday night that video from Eriku in Kwara State made the rounds, many Nigerians watched it, it made so real the reality of insecurity. With many people saying now, oh, it's at our backyards. It's always been at our backyards.
Okay, so I think the biggest problem we have is that the government is not sincere. The people who are supposed to watch the government are also not sincere. And it has made the whole situation messy. So I'll tell you this, right? There's no such thing as bandits. Let's even just forget. That word irritates me anytime I hear it. They are terrorists, and that's who they are. Now let's discuss the issue of, these soldiers, these military men that were ambushed. I don't want to dwell on the idea of, possibly because repentant terrorists got, enlisted into the army, and then they were actually the one feeding these guys information from the inside. I don't want to even get into that, because even before now, if you recall, this whole repentant terrorist thing started during the late PMB's regime. It didn't happen during Jonathan, but during Jonathan's time, there were conversation and talks of internal sabotage. that there are people who are actually within the military that are giving these guys actually information on how to actually work. So I want to deal with the fact that I don't want to care if it's because of that. Now let's look at the whole situation. First, we must understand something. Security across the world is local. If you cannot solve, the local solution, if you cannot provide a local solution to that particular problem, you are not going to solve it. So now we are looking at a people who are actually living within, or let's say at most 100 meters away from that particular community. That's where they stay. That's where their cells is, and that's exactly where they will be attacking from. They understand that once they make a huge attack, right? Once they make a huge attack, it's only natural for the security operators to go after them. And if you are a follower of football, or understand that naturally if someone attacks you, you're expecting them to actually if someone attacks you, the person is also expecting you to attack them. You definitely do one thing: lay an ambush and then get them out. And that's exactly what
it may not be a failure of intelligence.
No,
but that these people were on guard, expecting that the military would come after them.
It is normal, because every single time, because this is how security information works. Every single time an attack happens, right? The first statements, go and look at all of the statements released by Nigerian government when an incident happens. The statement carries certain keywords. 1, this is an insensitive killing. 2, the Nigerian government will go after this person. 3, they give them a marching order. Either he send the service chief there, or he send top military general there. 4, within 24 or 48 hours, we want to actually get to where these persons are. We want to make sure we get them and then bring them to justice. These are the keywords you find in every press release the government release. Now, every single time this thing happens, these guys, on the other hand, trust me, you might just look at them as ragtag armies. They also have people who are intelligent that analyzes data for them. So what they do is that, okay, this is how the Nigerian government is mostly going to react. And every single time they've lived up to it, they perhaps send people, certain soldiers to actually go after them. In most cases, of course, they are unable to actually do anything, and in the end, these guys are way beyond their reach at the point they start moving. And like they say, in going after terrorists, the best time you can actually get them is within 72 hours of that particular attack. If it goes beyond that time, it's over. You cannot get them again. So now they now understand that, okay, if these guys have to come after us, this is the most likely route they are going to come through. This is why I looked at the story yesterday when the Nigerian Senate were actually saying we need 100,000 Nigerian soldiers to be recruited into the army to bolster the numbers to help combat terrorism. Our issue is actually not about the numbers. It's actually about how you plan for modern warfare, right? If you don't have the right logistics, if you don't have the right equipment, these days drone even win war or win battles for you. But we are not utilizing all of these things, and these guys are still within the confines of the Nigerian territory. That's how funny it is. And I'll tell you another thing again. When a major attack happened in this country, go back 6 weeks, you will notice that there has been a major attack. Take this one now. 6 weeks before, after this one, you come back again and have a conversation about the major attack happening in this country. So it is natural that these guys wait every 6 weeks to attack a major part of the country.
You're saying the military should be planning alongside them. So if they are able to infiltrate the Nigerian military intelligence, if they're able to infiltrate the ranks of the military, because I literally have a video right now of one of Nigeria's chief of army staff sometime saying that, it is a non-kinetic approach to try to rehabilitate these terrorists. He says a repentant terrorist can even become president of Nigeria. So what message are we sending to them when we treat them with kid gloves?
That's actually a very big problem, right? These guys are terrorists, and you don't have to negotiate with them. In fact, former American President Jeff Kennedy actually said, "I will not negotiate with those who say what is theirs, and what is mine should be negotiated." Right. So the terrorists, where are they from? We've had the Nigerian government over time say these guys are actually not Nigerians. These guys came from certain parts of the world. These guys actually came from this. They're actually an offshoot of what happened in Libya. Blah 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 blah. But every single community these guys conquered send the occupants of that community to an IDP camp. They stayed there, and the government is here to actually sack them and return these people back to their homeland. So if you say these guys are actually foreigners and these guys are actually not Nigerians, and then we have certain persons who come on air to actually, defend these guys and say you don't have to attack them. People like Sheikh Gumi come up and say these guys are not supposed to be attacked. These guys are actually human beings. You have to discuss with them and all of that. These are part of the problem that we're dealing with. But if we must deal with this issue of terrorism, I'll say it's not difficult. We don't even need the army to actually do a lot. The police is enough to do it. What we need to do is to make Nigerian police very local, let them liaise with local communities, because we've had communities even in Benue, even in Kogi, even in down in Ebonyi and another part of the other part of the country, say even Jos in Mango local government, they've come out to say that every single time the youth rise to actually strategically mop up their community, the military also step in to mop up their arms from them, and few days later these terrorists come attack them. So this is more like you're coming out. I'm talking about the government now. You're coming out saying you're condemning the attack, you're saying all of these things, but then the practical approach to it, you're actually not supporting it. All you need to do is to give the people backing, help the people solve their problem. Because if these terrorists are aware that every single community is heavily protected, these guys actually have, even if you as a government say, okay, you're not going to allow them carry military assault rifle, but there are certain rifles that you can actually help allow them carry that thing is going to happen in coordination with security operatives, maybe the police, local police in that particular community. Then definitely know, okay, these are the persons that are supposed to actually wield guns in protection of empower this vigilante. I recall that in the during the Goodluck Jonathan's administration, one of the safest states in the country at the time was Ekiti. The then governor Ayafashe wasn't having it. All he needed to do was he empowered the I said Goodluck Jonathan, the PMB's first administration. Well, all he did was he empowered the hunters across Ekiti with, you call it den guns or local guns, whatever it is. All through his term as the governor of the state, these guys were unable to break into Ekiti because they understand that there is security, and there's something again about security. People naturally will not move swiftly when it really doesn't concern them. They naturally won't, because of course you look at this, you say, okay, but how am I related to this person? Say for example, someone from Akwa Ibom, and this person starts to go protect people in Benue State. Naturally, you first think, my life is very precious. I have family, I have kids all the way in Akwa Ibom. If I die here and all of that, so how much are they even paying me? But now, if the person starts to protect his own community in Akwa Ibom, whether paid or not, he understands that people will live there. These are the things, and this is I see here. I just believe that there are people within top military brass, people within top security chain who really do not want this thing to work. It's not like they don't know that this is the right way to go. It's not like they don't know, because at this point you guys are giving conflicting statements. Today you say these guys are not Nigerians. Tomorrow you say, okay, you're negotiating with them. What kind of negotiation are you negotiating with people who are killing Nigerians? And tomorrow you call people within RPG and also other sort of military weapons. You call them bandits in the name of what? So it's sad. But then Donald Trump came up and say, you know what, fix your house, and if you don't do that, I'm definitely going to step in. America will definitely come in. And they started calling, creating a sort of scenario. America never goes to any place and the place remains the same and all of that. Now an opportunity has been given to you to actually ensure that Nigeria is safe, this killing stop, and now we're having this conversation.
You know what many Nigerians are noticing is that ever since Trump spoke about it, the killings seemed to intensify. While all focus was on Kwara last night, there was also an attack in Sokoto State. On Monday, the people of Taraba State as well, they experienced their own attack from one village to another, from one community to another. Many Nigerians now have a heightened sense of security, and it's almost as if we now suspect each other. When you see somebody moving, it's so bad to the extent that people are now even suspecting down to their gatemen, the people who sell things at the edges of their streets, other people who pick things from the bins, people who go about looking like they don't know what they are doing. They feel like these people who live in shanties, that these people might actually be harboring arms and ammunition there that we do not know about. How would you assess the body language of the president? He was supposed to go on a trip to South Africa today, but he cancelled that trip after an outcry by Nigerians. Why did he have to take Nigerians crying out to say, Mr. President, do something, for him to cancel that trip? The girls from Kebbi State were abducted, and he was still planning that trip. He had not cancelled it yet until the Kwara attack came up. After this, another thing may come up now. Nigerians will forget about this and start talking about that. In fact, a task force committee was set up on 30 December. So now we are having who will want to come from outside Nigeria to come and do 30 December in this place when they are seeing this?
So I mean, if you've been following the antecedents of the government ever since they came into office, one of the very strong point that they one of the biggest point of focus for them is the PR, right? How to actually sell the country positive, even if the entire country is burning. It's likened to the case of Emperor Nero, that was dancing while Rome was burning. It's funny, but the truth is, there's something about the truth, right? The first, when it's first spoken, it's funny. People laugh at it, and then again it comes again. You reject it vigorously. You get very angry, and then you get to the very last point of acceptance. And in most cases, when you get to that point of acceptance, it's already too late. Lives are already lost already, and it's sad. But the truth is, again, that people who occupy the ICC, like talking about the president, many times it's difficult for them to even get first-hand information. They always rely on people to actually brief them, and then the way these people actually tell these stories to them will really matter if it's actually another situation. But I want to believe that for a man, or for a president, or a man who has been in the corridor of power for a while, who understand what this sort of things does to people political career. I mean, they were actually at the forefront of the Chibok girls incident, and I would expect that you understand how this actually impacted on the Goodluck Jonathan's government negatively, and ended up him being ousted from government. I don't think this is actually I don't think he should actually wait for someone to actually tell him not to actually make that trip to wherever. This is exactly why we have ambassadors and other diplomats that can actually make this sort of move. But in this part of the world, what we really celebrate is the big man. I mean, the institution means basically nothing to them, so they just want to do whatever it is they want to do any given time. Now, in the case of Nigerians actually coming out to cry, the funny thing is this, right? If you do this, if you look at the whole scenario, the whole thing that has happened in the last couple of days, I'll tell you something, right? Killings in this country always become a real thing when the government actually eventually acknowledge it. I was following a story by a group of persons. They call themselves the truth about Nigeria something, and one of the things they were actually talking about is that every single time after the Yerewaza incident, people, Nigerians have actually been dying, and it has amounted to about 500 persons so far. You also recall that when people within the Middle Belt, you recall that when I think it was in the early 2000s when the cartoon was actually drawn about the Islamic Prophet Muhammad, and then it led to killings. There's a community within the Jos Plateau. That land is actually called the Birom land, right? It's part of the Birom, and it's on a hill. A community was actually sacked in that particular place, and that community was renamed, just like a lot of communities has been renamed in this part of.
Is it Mahanga?
Yes, and a lot of communities has also been renamed, in that part of the country. Now, there's something about these things that's happening when communities get sacked, and then you replace them with people who actually sack them. It portends great danger for the neighbors on two grounds. One, the neighbors and these ones are actually different persons, right? Even though before now they might have their own little issues, but now these persons are I want to believe they are foreigners because they are not Nigerians, that dwells on that land will definitely now go after these ones and then take these ones out, or these ones will definitely rise against them. So it becomes a very big issue, and we've over politicized virtually everything that we do in this particular country. Something that happens that needs a very simple approach. Take out these incidents without even politicizing it. The government will want to actually look for a way to actually make it look like, okay, it is. Let me give an example. The killings on farmland, this was actually how this killing became a thing, became very established until it metamorphosed into them being called bandits and all of that. It's naturally just go to people's farm with cattle and then kill them and all of that. People cannot go to farm. The government started by calling this thing a farmer header clash, which was there was never such a thing like that. But then we had it, and then it became a natural lingua. Even pressmen uses it when we know that this is actually
these are terrorists. It's almost like when you call them bandits or you say it's a clash, you're watering down.
But then every single time the government uses these things, and it sends one one clear message to the international community. What it sends is that there's actually no real problem in Nigeria. It's just businessmen doing their thing.
There is a problem, but let's talk solutions. Yesterday when I asked my analyst on the evening rush about, I think it was on Monday, I was talking to Barrister Darlington Agomo, and I asked about preferring solutions. And some Nigerians said, you can't ask him for solutions. The people in power know what to do. You cannot be asking Nigerians to be the ones to prefer solutions to the government. But there is this feeling of helplessness and hopelessness in the air. Where do we go from here? What do we do? A lot of us don't have a second address. A lot of us cannot even afford to feed 3 square meals a day, not to talk of this whole jackpot wave. So what do we do?
So there are 2 solutions, right? The first solution is the government listening carefully, and then the other solution is the government listening forcefully. So the first solution is this, that the government just needs to actually do 2 things. The first, ensure that security is local. Just allow every community, empower them, tell them, take care of yourself. You can actually give them someone within their community and say, ensure their community is safe, do this, or even just make the state governor the chief security officer of the state. It should be very well amended that the governor can actually appoint the commissioner of police of the state, and then the military within that particular state obeys the governor's command. It's going to be simple. All this issue of terrorism will be wiped out across any part of the country. Any state that is still going through that afterwards, it means that the governor of that particular state is not actually sincere. It's going to be a ground, for electioneering. Now that it's just like power. If governors have exclusive power to actually generate electricity, that if your state doesn't have power, then of course it falls on the hands of the government. Now, to the other part of the government listening forcefully. The truth is, it's going to get to a point, right? If this killings continues without a stop, the people will definitely be forced to defend themselves, whether the government moves finger or not. And when that time comes, it's going to be either the government will be forced to join the people, or the government will have to join the terrorists, and it's going to be the government, the terrorists against the people. So one way it's going to be pushing Nigeria to a place that is best described as a dead end, and that point is going to be worse than what we saw in the year 2020. I'm talking about what happened in NSAS.
It's a very scary situation, but we'll continue to hold the government accountable for the protection of the lives and properties of Nigerians. Igichko, I must thank you for joining me on the World News at 6 this evening. I do appreciate your presence and your input.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. You have been listening to the World News at 6, right here on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. And that is a wrap on the news. Do stay tuned. Born to Leave comes up shortly, and after that, the Evening Rush comes up at exactly 7 p.m. Good evening, and thank you for listening.